Hello, Newsweed fans. My name is Gary Loss. I'm a reporter at newsweed.com. And what I'd like to do is to give you a summary of a recent article that I wrote. The article's name is called Inflation, Powerful Monetary Tool or Economic Weapon. And what I'd like to do is just take you through some major points because I think this is a very important issue in the United States right now. So first of all is to kind of clear up what inflation means. You probably learned in your economics class in high school or in college that money is inflation is too much money chasing too few goods, and that's true. Often economists will just frame it as rising prices, but the truth is it's a little more than that because of what's going on right now in the United States, which is, or essentially, printing currency. I don't say money because it's not really money anymore. Money's rooted in something or stabilized by something like gold, which we did away with in the 70s. So really what we're doing is a currency, and it's bordering on fiat currency, like a fake currency, because we're devaluing it. There's sort of this digital hokey pokey that's played between the Federal Reserve and the U.S. Treasury, kind of borrowing from each other and securing each other's interest. And ultimately what it means is we're conjuring money into the money supply through digital means, such as like quantitative easing. The bottom line is this: it's not just rising prices, it's also the devaluing of the dollar. And that's really important to understand because it's actually a double whammy. Part of the surge that we've seen recently in inflation is because the economy's waking up, there's new demand for products, there's more money pouring into the economy, the job outlook is getting better, employment's getting better, unemployment's dropping somewhat. So therefore, the money supply from the consumer end is increasing. But it's more than just that going down the road, right? As we start hitting near $30 trillion in our deficit, that's going to have a series of negative consequences for the consumer. Now, before we get into that, you might ask yourself, why would the government want to print all this money? Well, part of it just might be to buy people's votes, right? We're going to send you money, and like in the form of some type of welfare or work assistance or whatever, unemployment assistance. And that's true. But it also has connections to other things. The primary thing it has a connection to is when you devalue the dollar, the amount that you owe in debt, or national debt, which is somewhere around $30 trillion, that debt is now easier to pay because the money's not as worth as much. So the government has a shortcut, if you will, a monetary shortcut to pay off debt. Now, we don't want to have debt. That's not a good thing, and that creates a negative pressures on the economy. It creates like a headwind that makes economic growth more difficult. However, printing money is not the solution, okay? Because here's what happens. All that money being pumped out is taken advantage of by the people at the top of the economic ladder. In other words, through banking and investments, that money becomes available and enriches a lot of people, which is not necessarily a terrible thing, except for the fact that by the time it works its way down through time to the lower economic ladder, those people end up paying the price. Because if you are a family of four, right, and you are just kind of barely making it with your current salary, and all of a sudden prices go up while the value of your dollar goes down, all of those things that you need, the necessary components of life, your mortgage or your rent, your food, your medical costs, all the basics, utilities, those things are going to be much more expensive, and you're going to struggle to make ends meet. So even when you get raises, it doesn't matter because the value of your dollar doesn't go as far. Okay, this has a pernicious effect of hurting people either in the middle class or in the lower middle class or in people in poverty. Right? It creates a collective drag on our economic progress, and this is really important because going forward, how can you get ahead even when you get raises if the value of the dollar keeps dropping? Okay, So this kind of thing has to stop, honestly. Like we cannot continue to just run deficit after deficit after deficit. Even if that deficit is an investment into to help people of poverty, and maybe it is. And those are lofty, laudable goals. But you're hurting those people in the long run, right? Because you just reduce their ability to make their dollar go as far as possible, right? And that means that they're not going to be able to make ends meet. So this whole thing that's going on right now with us just running record deficits and printing up money ultimately favors the government, and it may help the very wealthy. Now, what can we do about it then, as people of lesser means? Everybody can take advantage of investments, right? So one of the things that you'll notice about Newsweek is we often feature stocks, especially the owner of Newsweek, Mark Nejma, will talk about the importance of investing. He's very savvy with that kind of thing. If you want to keep ahead, you'll have to make investments, because then you're going to earn interest on your dividends, on your stocks purchases that will keep you ahead of the game. Now, of course, those investments carry risk. So you have to do your research. And not everything is going to pay off. But if you invest early and regularly, you can kind of hedge against this inflation. Okay? And that's pretty much the name of the game as far as that goes, because trying to actually stop the government from printing all this money is going to be very difficult. So you have to take care of your own personal interests, managing your money better and in investing. And that's something that I'm just starting to do now as well. Anyway, my name is Gary Loss. I'm with Newsweek, and I thank you for your time. Bye-bye.